And we're not being served by sitting here silently, and you're not being served by a commentariat that basically has one thumb up its ass and one thumb in its mouth and is switching every fucking 30 seconds. Go do your job. Find out what's going on with his hand. Find out what's going on with his capacity. Have people look at his slurred language. Have people look at the deterioration that's going on right now, and the madness and the corruption and all of the other shit that's going on. Something happened very, very recently that I want to comment on, but as I get ready to get into it, we're going to put up an excerpt from a video I did on 17 January 2024 at 1300 hours Eastern Standard Time. That's 1 o'clock. Okay, just trying to be dramatic here, but at 1 o'clock on the 17th of January of 2024, I raised a question and pointed out that they were red splotches on Donald Trump's hands, and that could be professional, a sign of syphilis, a venereal disease, a tertiary syphilis, and which can have profound effects if not treated properly. And of course, the conversation was about different things, and we've gone through, and unfortunately, we suspected something, but we never got the kind of follow-up that we should have got. Then the issue remained, as sometimes these venereal diseases do, it remained dormant. It was brought up. We got some speculation. We got a lot of people looked at it. We had a couple of giggles, maybe a couple of late night people picked it up, but that was about it. Then we had this fiasco in Canada, where there was a G7 meeting, and of course he can't stay because, frankly, they don't give a shit about him anymore. He was not the center of attention. And then he holds a press conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, of which he has some empty pages that are blowing in the fucking wind that don't have anything on it, and claims that there was some new trade agreement, of which, of course, there was no such fucking thing. And the British Prime Minister looked like somebody just stuck barbed wire up his anus. And a smart observer took some pictures of his hand. We're posting it so you can see the discoloration, and you're further going to see something interesting. You're going to see a shitty attempt at makeup to try to hide this. Now, if you're suffering and have a medical diagnosis, but if this is the condition that you have, you can cover up skin discoloration with makeup, but you cannot cover up the slurred language, the stupidity, the ravenous effects this has on a person's body, on their mind, on everything else. And I understand this is right now, we are talking about going to fucking war with a nation of 92 million people. I didn't get into it. His own intelligence services say that Iran is not about ready to develop a nuclear weapon. He backed out of the Joint Comprehensive Agreement, which had this problem solved. Of course, it's fat, stupid, and got out of it. And now his big, beautiful bill looks like it might be going nowhere. Every poll that comes out, it's worse. And so you have, at a minimum, a desperate politician who is on the verge of starting a war to divert attention from his catastrophic policies, and in particular, his catastrophic budget bill that seems to be getting attacked by the day. And I'm going to ask you, what if I gave you 2-to-1 odds that I've put a globe in front of Donald John Trump and I said, okay, point to Iran. Does anybody really think this son of a bitch knows where Iran is? Of course you don't. He has no fucking idea. He has no idea what a Sunni, what a Shia is. He has no idea what a Persian is. He has no idea of anything. He has no idea of any of that. But what his primitive survival skills and his what I think is likely his obviously diminished mental skills, it could be something way worse than that. It's obviously that he's had, like all people, older people, me included, he's had some diminished capacity. Fortunately, I'm unable to start a war, and unfortunately he is, which makes a lot of difference. But I want you to examine this and then listen to what the fucking idiots say on TV. Well, what about the Democrats? They only got a disapproval rating, and the hope that we're in a state of collapse, and this and that, and let's have a panel discussion, and we're going to have a regression analysis, and we're going to do all that. And the fuck are you talking about? Are we going to have hearings on President Biden's cognition? You know, I don't take a backseat to anybody. For my position doing this, I never thought President Biden should run for re-election. I was very clear, and I was very clear on the reason. I thought he was too old. There is zero evidence that he wasn't on top of decision making, or that he didn't have the requisite judgment at the time to be president. There is all the evidence in the world that this guy doesn't. And I understand. The books are fine. I don't have a problem with them. I think most people look at this and they say, "Yeah, of course he was too old," and people knew it and they tried to cover it up. That's bad enough that it is. But this is not what's happening right now. What's happening right now is a guy is starting to talk about hauling off and starting a war, and who very well, or reason to believe, we certainly need some answers, could have a really diseased mental capacity, but above and beyond just the normal effects of aging and what comes with that. And we're not being served by sitting here silently, and you're not being served by a commentariat that basically has one thumb up its ass and one thumb in its mouth and is switching every fucking 30 seconds. Go do your job. Find out what's going on with his hand. Find out what's going on with his capacity. Have people look at his slurred language. Have people look at the deterioration that's going on right now, and the madness and the corruption and all of the other shit that's going on. And don't worry about having a panel discussion about the Democrats. What are they going to do? Look at what's right in front of you. What's right in front of you. And I think there is sufficient reason to marshal resources and together to see what the hell's going on here. Because he may plunge us into some idiot war. And, these things I can do for you. You don't need to tell you this. They have a lot of consequences, a lot of long-term consequences. And the same people that were beating the war drums in the early part of this century for one of the most idiotic foreign policy military decisions that the United States has made in its history, are beating the same war drums. Whoa, rah, rah, Johnny come marching home together. We're going to bomb this, bunker bomb, atomic bombs, blow, bomb. The fuck, by somebody who I believe, and I have reason to believe, and you should have reason to believe, that is a leader of severely diminished capacity, which may be even caused by an underlying, what do you call it, syphilitic? I don't know what the fuck the medical word for it is. In other words, he may have the clot. Okay, that's just what this is. And so I'm asking questions. I think that that's some of the things that I can do even at my advanced age is notice things that other people don't notice, or even more frighteningly do notice but are afraid to say something. They might lose their access. Oh God, we couldn't have that. Now could we? Because access comes ahead of country. I got to tell you that that's not a hollow observation that I'm making. So pay very close attention to this catastrophic thing he had with the British Prime Minister, and then we'll zero in, and you can actually see on the hands what's going on. There are a lot of serious diseases that manifest themselves in the extremities. And I think this is, I think as we are listening to the banging of the war drums, that we're moving what I think is recklessly toward, which could be a catastrophic decision. We need to make sure that this man is mentally intact. So we'll be visiting you again, probably early next week. But, you can stir things up. You can write to people. You can do things because, and we had the No Kings, which is the largest thing. And, maybe we should have no syphilis rallies. Might be called for in this. Thank you very much.